How are we feeling?
All right. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the playoffs. Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. We're brought to you today by Game Time, my favorite way to find and buy MLB tickets. The playoffs are here. You might be looking for some tickets this week. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. I'll tell you more about them in a minute. Scott, how you feeling? Yankees Red Sox, after all of that.
After all that, it's exactly what we thought it was going to be. The amount of scenarios that we're going through because the American League was completely up in the air this year. The Central, the Mariners taking it late, and then obviously the drama between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. But it comes down to the matchup that I wanted. Frankly, this is the matchup that I wanted. I wanted the. I know people may not like this, but I wanted the wild card. I wanted the Yankees to have to go through it a bit, and I wanted the Red Sox so that they could kind of just go through that team, prove to themselves that they can do it, show the talent before we get to a DS and then a CS and then a World Series. I think that this Yankees team is in a good spot and is probably exactly where they should be as far as playing the Red Sox at home. So that's the advantage, right? The big advantage is at home, obviously. But I'm glad they're there, man. Like I wanted Yankees Red Sox.
I did too. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to take a step back for a second. Yesterday, just from a sports fan perspective, was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You had obviously week 4 of the NFL games. You had the Ryder Cup going on, which didn't look like it was going to be exciting, but got very exciting on Sunday if you're a golf fan. And then you had so many different scenarios for baseball in the American and National League. Now, the American League, it was the edge was taken out of it maybe slightly because once Houston was out of it, I think on Friday or Saturday, that kind of took that whole will they get in, will they get out aspect out of it. Yeah. But you had divisions and wild card seeding all up for grabs in the American League, and then the Mets doing Mets stuff in the National League. So really exciting, like 6 hours of sports on Sunday.
And the Jets did not play, which is a good thing for everybody's sanity who unfortunately follows that team like me.
Yeah. They're on the JV Monday night game tonight.
Yeah, I saw the times. They're so close together. I was like, oh, we're really trying to hide this game, aren't they? 7:15, and the next one starts at 8:30. And
I don't understand Monday night games because they're doing it like every couple weeks. There's just 2 games. Anyway,
I thought they were the 8 o'clock, or maybe they started that one a little early, and then the West Coast game, which is like 10 o'clock. But no, they're just Denver and I don't remember who's playing, but yeah, they're hiding the Jets game, I think. And
it's like getting a wild card playoff game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like no one cares about you.
Well, at least there's no playoffs on, so we can at least watch that and see what's up. But yeah.
So I agree with you. I wanted it to be Yankees Red Sox. Now, people might be like, well, why wouldn't you want the Tigers or something? They're reeling. Or why wouldn't you want the Guardians? Because Andrew, you said the Guardians stink and that should be an easy layup. Yeah, you're right. I just want to see them win a playoff series against a non-AL Central team. I kind of want to just see if it can happen because it hasn't happened under Aaron Boone. And so I wrote down some thoughts just going into the playoffs, like question marks. One of the biggest ones for me is, can this team actually beat a non-AL Central team? The only time they have advanced in the playoffs has been against, like I said, AL Central opponents in a series. They beat the Oakland
Athletics. It's kind of crazy that it's been as long as that, as it has.
Yeah,
for that streak.
They beat the Oakland Athletics in the 2018 wild card game. Okay, that was just a single game. But as far as advancing in a series, they've only beaten the Twins or the Guardians or the Royals or I don't think they've played the Tigers in that stretch. But it's only been AL Central. And somehow they weaseled their way to only AL Central opponents last year. That's not going to be the case this year. I think the American League is up for grabs. I think potentially this 3 games against Boston will be the hardest 3 games the Yankees play all on their road through the American League. But I think the American League has a lot more competition this year than it did last year.
Yes, I agree with that. I think there's more. The teams are closer than they were last year, and you obviously have some stud starting pitchers that the Yankees will have to go against. Obviously with Crochet here in Game 1 tomorrow night, and then if they do face the Tigers, they've got Skubal, and then frankly the Blue Jays have the opportunity to come out and blank you with some of the pitching that they have as well. I mean, they have they have some names out there, whether they pitch to their capabilities or not, is another thing. But there's definitely more talent, I think, on the pitching side than we saw last year. And when you have a couple lefties that could come in and shut you down at the top of a rotation, that's a problem for the Yankees, or it has been in the past. So them going through Crochet tonight, and I know they haven't beaten Crochet, but the last time they faced him, the Sox got out to it was like 6-0, I think it was. It was a healthy lead, and who knows what you're getting from Crochet at that point, because you can get a lot of, hey, get me over the plates, trying to be more efficient. Probably not throwing certain pitches that he would normally throw if the game were tighter. So, and the Yankees did hit him a little bit, and probably the most that they had. But that's it's gonna be a different story. It's gonna be a different story. You're not going in there, even if you go up 5-6-0. You're not getting a guy that's trying to be more efficient. You're getting a guy that's trying to shut you down every single pitch going into tomorrow night. So it'll be a really big test. And I think that the Yankees, after the stretch, obviously they're the hottest team in baseball right now. They have the best record in August, I think, going in, or since
September. They have the best record.
But since they started going after opponents that were less than, they've been beating up on them. And you know what? The schedule is the schedule, and that's who they had to play. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they needed some teams in front of them to get their groove right, to get everybody in the right spot, to get the pitching feeling good, the hitting feeling good going into the playoffs. Maybe that's a thing. But that said, they need to beat some good teams, obviously, here now in the playoffs, and we'll see how that translates. But I think they're in as good of a spot as they could be, and I'm glad they're in the wild card, because again, you're saying that they to beat a team that's not AL Central. Agree. That's something that hasn't happened. Which is just I can't believe I'm saying that. But the fact that I like the fact that they're not sitting. Also, that's another thing. I think that the sitting could hurt them at this point with the way that they're playing. So going right into a series, I think, is a good thing. And you know what? You can't get more confident than walking through beating the Red Sox in this wild card to go into the rest of the playoffs. And I think that's a good thing at the end for the Yankees. If they're going to win the World Series, which is all where we need them to be and want them to be and expect them to be, then they should go through hard teams, and that shouldn't be a problem.
That's an interesting point. It could be almost a springboard. Like if you win this series, like I said, this could be the hardest series they face in the playoffs, because who knows what happens? Who knows who's left standing after the wild card round? Seattle, I think, has so much going for them on paper, but they are still such a massive unknown. They have never been successful in the postseason in their franchise history. They've never won a pennant. Okay, so that's a lot of pressure on that team and on that.
But they have knocked the Yankees out.
That's a different lifetime ago. Okay?
Well, you said ever, so I'm bringing it up.
My point is, I just think that fine, they look good on paper. I think the Yankees I would still pick the Yankees in that series. And I'm picking the Yankees in this Red Sox series. The Yankees should beat this Red Sox team. The Red Sox have at certain points this year looked really good and have dominated the Yankees. The Yankees are 4-9 and have been outscored 66-51 this season against Boston. They did just take 2 out of 3 at Fenway most recently, but they also lost 3 out of 4 at home against the Red Sox. They got swept at Fenway Park. Remember, they got swept, and then the Red Sox traded Devers like 2 hours later. Like that was like kind of happened at some point.
They're like, wait a minute,
middle of the season.
This guy kills the Yankees, so can we just wait till after the series, please? Make sure that happens.
But the Red Sox kind of took off after that. And once they called up Roman Anthony, they were one of the best teams in baseball in August. And it looked like the Red Sox were going to surpass the Yankees, but they have come the other way. Crochet might be the great equalizer, because in a 3-game series, winning game 1, every team, I know I've said this stat 100 times, every team who's won game 1 wins the series. And so it's such a massive advantage or disadvantage, depending on how you look at it, because it's such a short series. So he might be the great equalizer, even if the Red Sox lineup is not as threatening without Roman Anthony and certainly without Devers. If Crochet goes out there and pitches a 1-run ball over 7 or 8 innings, it's like it might not matter, and he's capable of doing that, and that's why Fried has to match him. Like
he does have to match him. Fried might be the most important Yankees player on the entire roster because of this start.
He's obviously the ace without Garrett Cole, but he's been their best pitcher start to finish this year, even if he had a couple of speed bumps in the middle of the year. even if Crochet is better than him, like Fried, you need to go match Garrett Crochet. Send it to the bullpen in the 7th or 8th inning. If it's tied, great, you did your job. But you need to match Crochet pitch for pitch. And I think he's capable of doing that because I think the Yankees lineup is better than the Red Sox lineup. Even if Crochet might be better than Fried, like it kind of might be offset because I think the Yankees lineup is a little bit better than the Red Sox lineup. And Fried has not had a great postseason track record. I know his ERA is north of 5 in the postseason. He did have a moment or two in that Braves run, but this is a massive start, obviously, for him. He's first year with the Yankees, getting that huge contract. If he's what did he have 100 pitches in his last time out against the Red Sox through into the 5th inning? Like,
yeah, it wasn't efficient. That's for sure. That's the thing for him too. It's not just about, he's got to pitch well, but he's also got to be efficient because he's got to take some pressure off of this bullpen that's been obviously better of late. And again, like kind of look at the teams who are in front of you with the bullpen a bit. I don't want to get too hung up on that because it is what it is. But at the same time, like he's got to be efficient and get deeper into this game, because if the Yankees are taxed in the bullpen, or if they have to go to their bullpen in game 1 early, one, that's a problem for the rest of the series. And two, that just something is not right. That means that there's obviously deep counts, a lot of base runners potentially, whether it's walks or hits, probably hits. And so something is not right. But even if he gets out of trouble and he's at 100 pitches in the 5th inning, the Yankees are going to have to then Aaron Boone.
Not good enough. That's not good enough.
6, 7, 8, 9. You need 4 pitchers. Here's the camera. 4 pitchers to pitch at their peak and not give up anything against this Red Sox team. And the Yankees have a problem with that sometimes. So, and again, like if you're using guys that much in game 1, it is setting the tone for the rest of the series. Now you need Rodon to be extra perfect and to definitely go deep into a game.
Rodon is going to be a 5-inning pitcher in game 2. Okay. He's going to be rearing back, trying to throw 99 miles an hour. He's going to have 100 pitches in the 5th inning. Fried cannot also pitch that way. Fried needs to pitch into the 7th inning. Yeah. Now the score might dictate differently. Like if for whatever reason it's a lopsided score and the Yankees are up 5-0 in the 3rd inning. Okay. And Fried's out of there. And that's different. Assuming the game is close, if Fried is not pitching into the 7th inning, something is bad.
If the Yankees are up 5-0, frankly, I want Fried to go deep. Also, I need him to go deep also, because now you're saving the bullpen. Now you're using that lead to your advantage by leaning on that guy. And frankly, if I'm Aaron Boone, and I'm not, and nor do I think like him most of the time, but I'm staying with him as long as humanly possible. I'm not pulling him early. I'm staying with him because again, it's a short series. You need your bullpen in this short series, especially if Rodon, being on Wednesday, you just don't know how deep he's going to get. So I want to be fully loaded if that's the opportunity.
I know it's not a 1-game series, but it is basically a 1-game series. It's basically a 1 game. Yeah. Yeah. So Fried is my big second huge question mark. My other big question mark is, what's Judge going to be?
Question mark meaning like thing we're looking at. I don't know if
not question mark meaning
the question mark.
Okay, sorry, meaning what I like stuff that needs to be that the Yankees need to prove. Like these are questions I have about the team going into the playoffs. Can they beat a non-AL Central team? Is Max Fried gonna be the ace, or is he gonna pitch to his playoff track record, which is a 5-something ERA?
Will Max Fried cover first base on a ground ball to the first baseman? These are all things we want to know.
That's a question. Judge, like another MVP year, arguably his best year ever statistically. Is he going to win the MVP or not? I know we talked about that last week. I don't really give a shit at this point. Judge has won MVPs before. You know what he's not done?
He needs to be the MVP of the playoffs.
Right. He's not played well in the playoffs. He's got a significantly lower OPS in his playoff career than he does in the regular season. Yeah. And he's got the highest strikeout percentage of anyone in Major League Baseball history in the playoffs.
Yep.
He did drop the ball in the World Series last year. I think that's a little bit more of a fluke than anything. But his playoff track record of offensive struggles have not been a fluke, because that's been him for every single postseason.
Yeah.
So is he going to be the MVP player, or is he going to be the previous playoff Judge that we've seen?
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my brother-in-law, who's a big baseball fan, this weekend about the MVP, and he just kept, he's about 5 years older than me, and really weighs in the catcher position on that. You look at what Judge is the MVP. He's got the way that they vote for it, the categories. The big dumper's got one category, one. So Judge is going to be the MVP. And now he needs to take that into the playoffs, and especially against the Red Sox. If he could come out hot, start against the Red, he could be a big difference maker against Crochet, a huge difference maker. Like, he's the guy that you need to be the difference maker in here. You get a couple guys on, or get a guy on, depending on how Boone does the lineup. I assume he's going to be in the 2 spot, right? Because of you want to stack in some righties. He needs to be that guy. He absolutely does. He needs to be that guy and be a difference maker. So I think the Yankee fans are going to be like extra behind him. But it's not going to take much. It's not going to take a lot, because the way that the Yankees fans are, especially at Yankee Stadium, they remember playoffs. They know what time it is. They know what the temperature is. They know what month it is. They know all of these things. And if he gets off to a slow start, I fear for his psyche, and hopefully he can get through it. But he needs to come off to a hot start, no doubt about it.
So he has a lot of playoff home runs, and I know that's one thing people have pointed to, because he's actually hit some big playoff home runs.
He has.
He had a big home run last year in the ALCS against Emmanuel Clase. Remember that opposite field one? He hit a home run in the World Series this past year. He hit some big home runs off of Houston in the 2017 American League Championship Series. The key difference to me is that, yes, he's run into home runs, but the rest of the at-bats have been so horrible that he's not the same gravitational force that he is in the regular season. And that's the difference, where, yeah, he went 1 for 4, but he struck out 3 times. It's not like he was on base 2 other times and just a constant threat. Pitchers have been able to exploit his weaknesses in the postseason. I don't know why. Is he pressing? Whoever, maybe, because I've seen him clean up those mistakes in the regular season. So as far as like capabilities of doing it, I know he's not a free swinger, just swing it slider in the dirt anymore. He's not that hitter anymore. But then why in the postseason does he turn into that?
So the one thing that this season I feel like is interesting with Judge. Obviously, he went down for a bit with the arm and wasn't playing in the field. Looked like it took him a while after he came back to really kind of round into himself again as far as the offense. And this year, it does seem like he's in the exact right spot he needs to be. He's been hitting the ball out. He's having good at bats. It looks like he's feeling good physically. He's been throwing the ball from the outfield. Really doesn't seem like there's much of an issue. So he's in a very good spot physically. And frankly, like over the last month and a half, like he's probably had more rest coming into the playoffs with just the amount of time, I think, to like get finely tuned to get ready for the playoffs. Very interested to see how that works, because I think that he's in a good spot. It looks like his head's in the right place. It looks like he's seeing the ball well right now. So if things are lining up, if there were ever a time to line up, it does look like Judge is lining up to be, right in that good spot offensively. And I don't expect him to stretch the zone. I don't expect him to have short counts and be swinging through. I expect him to have long counts. I expect him to, make the pitchers come to him and pay for mistakes. That's the guy I absolutely expect. And I know everybody else does. It's just a matter of him being able to execute it. But I do think that this year he seems like he's in that right spot to get into the playoffs, to carry over what he just did throughout the end of the regular season.
So I don't want to equate him to like A-Rod's historic playoff struggles, because I actually think A-Rod's playoff struggles were overblown. If you go back and look at his playoff numbers, he had a bad, I think it was 05-06 playoffs, but otherwise he was pretty damn good for the Yankees in the playoffs. But people, harp on the negative. Who harps on the negative? I don't know anyone like that.
Neither do I.
But I think for A-Rod, it was largely mental. And one thing that he was able to do in that 09 playoff run was have a couple big hits early in that playoffs, which kind of like took the monkey off of his back, just relieved some pressure. Mm-hmm. So if Judge can come up with a big hit in this playoff round and in game 1 off of Crochet, right? If he's got a 2-run double in the 7th inning off of Crochet or something like that, that can just sort of let the air out of some pressure, and he can just relax and be the MVP player that we know he can be.
I think that's definitely the case for him, but I also think that's the case for this lineup. I think this lineup needs to, and I know a lot of people don't like Goldschmidt in that leadoff spot. Goldschmidt's going to be the leadoff. The one thing about Goldschmidt in the leadoff right here, first of all, veteran guy.
He's been so bad since like May.
That's fine.
It's been
but
horrible.
I think that playoffs, I'm resetting it. I just for whatever reason, that guy, I think he's gonna get up. And frankly, he knows how to work a count. He knows how to get deep into a count. And I think that's important here, especially that first at bat, and then with Judge giving that second at bat. If you can work that count deep, let Judge see the ball, 5 or 6 pitches, standing there from the on deck circle, and this team get off to I think the whole team needs to get off. We can't have Crochet come in and mow them down 1, 2, 3 and get him having a full head of steam. Because if he has a full head of steam, all of a sudden you're going to blink and 3 innings are going to be over. And then all of a sudden we're coming back around for the top and nothing's happened yet. And there's a lot of pressure now on Max Fried at that point. So I do think that first inning, jumping on them, at least getting him deep into the counts is going to be a really important piece. I do. I think so. I'm looking square at that. The stadium's going to be loud as all hell in the first inning. You're never going to have a better atmosphere from that first inning getting going against the Boston Red Sox in the playoffs with Aaron Judge up and working the count for that first inning. So I do think that's an important inning. You can't let that steam out of that excitement and that energy out of the crowd just from that first inning. I think it's going to be a tough place. Crochet's never seen that before. Never seen this before. So it's going to be a big one for them to work the count and make him make mistakes.
Yeah, I want to talk about the lineup, but if you're looking for a ticket for one of these games at Yankee Stadium this week, I recommend using Game Time. I doubt you're going to find a better price anywhere than Game Time. I've used it several times and I love it. I've used it for baseball games, theater tickets, and they also have great tickets for all sporting events, concerts, and much more. Like I said, it's the baseball playoffs, but you've got NFL underway, NBA right around the corner, college football, so many great things on the Game Time app. Their last minute deals feature is especially cool because you can snag great tickets for affordable prices by just waiting. You can save up to 60%. I also like their all-in pricing feature because it tells you what the total price is going to be up front. You're not going to get hit with those surprise fees at checkout. Last but not least, the lowest price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you, Game Time. All right, so the lineup, they're going to have to sit some of these lefties because their lineup is so left-handed heavy, and against Crochet, you cannot have 6 lefties in the lineup. You just can't do it. So who sits in order to get Caballero and potentially even Rosario bat in the lineup?
I think that Ben Rice is going to sit. I think that Ben Rice is going to be a bench player. He gives them a lot of flexibility. And I think that's he's 100% going to be sitting. And I think that you're going to see him obviously when there's a pitching change, depending on when that is, you'll see him in there. So I think that's the for sure number one. I think Jazz is definitely playing. I think Jazz, is I don't know if they're going to mess around with that. And his numbers aren't bad against lefties. He has good at bats against lefties. Crochet is a different lefty, no doubt. But so yeah, I think you're going to see Rice sit. And I think McMahon.
We talked about, McMahon's definitely sitting. But we talked about this before we were recording. They might end up carrying a third catcher because you're going to want to get Ben Rice in a lot of games when he's not starting. And then once you do that, then you're without a catcher. And if you find yourself without a catcher in a playoff game, you're SOL.
Yeah. So what's interesting in where they've put themselves right now, obviously coming into this year, you're looking at Dominguez taking another step with a lefty up at up in the on the mound. There's the numbers. Dominguez.
Who?
I'm wondering if he's even going to be on the roster. That's what I'm getting to.
He was on the roster last year, so I'd imagine he'd be on the roster.
But here's the thing. I don't think he's even, it's such a weird position for Boone to even put him in anywhere at some point, especially with a lefty on the mound.
Well, no, with a lefty on the mound.
He can't play defense. So that takes him out of the
pinch run. He'll pinch run for
and then you're burning another spot because then you're just using him as a pinch runner and that's it. And not having a guy who can run but also defend. It's very strange. So seeing what this roster is going to look like, I think he's out. And I think he could be out. I really think Boone could sit him because you're going to see a guy that has multiple opportunities to get into the game. And I don't think that Boone has Dominguez in the game unless he's running, and that's it.
Well, Grisham is interesting. I think he's going to play, but I think you can make a case against Crochet to not start Grisham either, and then you can get Caballero and Rosario's bat in there.
But do you think that they're going to leave Grisham off because of that defense? I don't think so.
Well, but as soon as Crochet's out of the game, which I understand might be late in the game, you can bring him in for defense.
The way that the Yankees play defense, you need your best defender out there in center field. I'm sorry. You do. You cannot mess around with that just to get Caballero. And by the way, like Caballero to me is a
I love how we're also talking about how like we know there's no chance of Volpe sitting, which is insane.
Well, that's the thing. Volpe's not going to sit. He's 100% not going to sit. But Caballero gives you more value coming off the bench. He does.
Against the lefty, though, I think he gets more value starting and getting 3 at bats.
But then you are sacrificing your defense. You're sacrificing your defense, and the Yankees
score runs to win.
They also need to prevent runs. They also need to prevent runs. That cannot be a problem.
Max Fried should hopefully, be able to mow guys down no matter who's behind there defensively.
Caballero's offense against a guy like Crochet to me is not much of a difference between him and Grisham to sacrifice the defense in that regard. I think 100% he's going to be out there. It's not like we're talking about Caballero is like, lights out against left-handed pitching. He's not. He's
no Ref Snyder.
He's no Ref Snyder. He's got a below 700 OPS also, by the way. So it's not like we're saying like we're pining for a guy that can just hit the lights out.
I would start him at shortstop.
Well, that's a different story. Again, not happening. So deploying him as a runner and that has the ability to play defense.
This team has so many
this is just me talking myself out of Boone even playing Dominguez at all in this series. Like I have a feeling he's not going to be on the roster. I could see it. 100%.
Now I'm getting a little concerned that Boone has too many pinch running options that he's going to forget to pinch run a guy.
That's true. He'll do it with one strike. He will do it with one strike.
He doesn't want to burn one of his 3 pinch runners.
Yeah. So no, I think you have to tighten up the defense. I think you put your best outfield out there to start the game. You gotta you owe that to your pitcher as well, to be honest. Like not to mess around. You gotta
convince me. You convinced me on the Grisham thing. He should not be hitting at the top of the lineup against Crochet. But you convinced me on the defense and that the offensive difference between him and Caballero is not worth it. We know that McMahon will be sitting because he sits against lefties always. And I agree with you. Rice will be out of the lineup.
And because at that point, sacrificing defense now on the infield on the left side because of McMahon not being there. So you have to have a tight defense in the outfield. You have to.
And Jazz is okay, right? Like he sat out yesterday, but he's as far as we know, he's fine.
Yeah, he was playing in the field. He was there. He was playing. So I think he's going to be fine. And he's been okay against left-handed pitching as well.
Yeah. All right, my other big question, and this is actually a question, is can the Yankees not trip over themselves? Can an Aaron Boone team not trip over themselves?
Well, if you start messing around with the defense like that, then they could absolutely do that. But this game 1 will be a very big tell because you expect game 1 to be a very low scoring game. That's the expectation with Crochet and Fried on the mound. So what is going to be tested? The baseball fundamentals, the catch the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball, execute with runners on scoring position, move runners over. All of these things are going to be tested as in, playoff baseball. You see these tested more often, obviously in the playoffs, because you're going up against better pitching. You have to execute. Everybody's just in a better spot. So yeah, game 1 will tell us a little bit more because I think it's going to be a tight game and they're going to have to field the ball well. And that's the thing. Like you start messing around by you're already sacrificing defense for a bat and at third base if they go that route. And then you have to be able to field the ball 100%.
Defense, let's talk about defense. Like, will there be base running mistakes? Will there be other mental mistakes? Like, what kind of is Boone gonna? What's he gonna do as far as pitching changes? Like, is he gonna try and steal outs with guys? Like all this stupid crap that he continues to do and they continue to do. Like, are they going to be able to not do those things? They've never been able to not do those things. Didn't matter against Kansas City and against Cleveland last year.
Well, let me tell you what, if we can get Max Fried to go 7 innings, a lot of that is taken out of the equation.
Yes. The players need to take decisions out of Boone's hands.
If he's going 7 innings, to me, that means the defense is held up. He's pitching well. He's been efficient. And now Boone doesn't have to make these decisions on changing things around. If the guys who are starting the game progress in a positive way, and Fried leading the charge, obviously, to keep that score down on the Red Sox side, then they will be in a position where the players are dictating what happens. And then it's just a matter of executing. And if you're putting your best defense out there, and hopefully they're not making any base running mistakes, then yeah, I expect game one of the playoffs to be as tight as possible with fundamentals. If it's game one and we're not tight on the way that we're playing baseball, then we got problems.
They've never been tight on fundamentals.
Well, game one's the time to do it. Okay. The game one is the time to do it, because you don't want to lose the crowd either. And if you start doing shit like that and start bumping it around,
what's the last thing that they saw?
The last game we saw was when you and I were sitting in the stands, and everything was great up until the fifth inning. And then all of a sudden people started to stop fielding positions. People were booting the ball. There was indecision. It was a disaster. That was the last thing that we saw in the playoffs at Yankee Stadium. Need to flip the script.
And I think that the Yankees did hit Bayo their last time out. They did hit Crochet a little bit, but like you said, the score might have dictated some of his intensity on the mound, but they did. That was a close game that they hit Bayo in. And I'm not afraid of Giolito if Giolito ends up pitching game 3. Will it be Schlittler? It looks like it's going to be Schlittler for game 3. At least he would line up.
Well,
but we've talked about how
pitch yesterday, right? So he's definitely, and they mentioned that Hill threw 5 innings yesterday too. So
yeah,
I mean,
he can't pitch game 3, but he could come out of the bullpen.
If he threw 79 pitches, so didn't max out at all, which is really efficient.
No, but like he'll be, so he pitched Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so he'd be on 4 days rest coming out of the bullpen on Thursday.
But again, nothing matters at that point besides that game in front of you, so he'll be there for sure. Again, so, but him coming out, I think that's one of the things, like, because of his walks, he's a tough one to deploy from the bullpen.
I want to talk about something that I know I'm going to get shit for, and I don't even know if I know would never happen. And I don't know if I would, like, you just put me in as manager, I don't know that I would have the balls to do this. You're going against Crochet.
Mm-hmm.
You're already not looking good for that game. Do you want to use Fried against him?
I'm not saying you're not looking good for that game. You're just, what you're going up against.
Yeah. Where it's like, you know that, like, okay, you're going to get hopefully a good start out of Fried, but like, it might not be enough because Crochet might just be better. So maybe you don't use Fried against him, and you use Fried for game 2, and then you play for the coin flip in game 3.
Yeah. I know you were messing around with this yesterday and throwing it out there. There's just no possible way you can do that.
Can't do it in the wild card. It's too short of a series.
You can't do it. Also, you will get killed. You will get murdered for not throwing your best pitcher out there in the beginning. Because if the Yankees go out there and hit Crochet, and then all of a sudden the game, and then they're hitting Rodon, and the game is 5-5 or 8-7. Like, good luck. Good luck walking into the post game with that decision. So because Bayo also, I know that the Yankees hit Bayo, but Bayo has had a very good track record.
He's not been good the last 2 months of the
season.
Not
recently, but he's got a track record against the Yankees. He's shut the Yankees down in the past. I have a lot more confidence against him now. He does not. In the end, I think the offense looks at him differently than they have in the past. They've hit him. They know that now. So no, I'm going with Fried, and because the other thing is that the Yankees, Boone and that team have a lot of confidence in Rodon, whether you and I do or the fans do. A lot of people have a lot of confidence in him inside that building, so they're going to throw him with confidence. And if Boone will tell you that he thinks he has 2 number 1s, that's what he would.
I know. Obviously, I agree. You cannot do it for the wild card game. I always bring up this example, which I'm sure if people have been listening to this show for the 11 years we've been doing it, they would hear me talk about this before. In game 3 of the 2010 ALCS, the Yankees were playing the Rangers. It was a 1-1 at that time, and they were coming home for game 3, and it was Cliff Lee versus Andy Pettitte. Pettitte had been lights out in the playoffs for the past 2 years for the Yankees, and Cliff Lee was the greatest pitcher of all time against the Yankees. Okay. It was the ALCS. So that's a 7 game. So you have some wiggle room there. I legitimately, at the time, I remember talking to my friends about this. And I remember talking to my dad about this. I would have not started Andy Pettitte in game 3 against Cliff Lee, and I would have held Andy Pettitte for game 4. Instead, Pettitte pitched great. Cliff Lee pitched like a shutout. The Yankees went down 2-1. The next night, I think, if I remember correctly, it was AJ Burnett got freaking annihilated in game 4 and the Yankees went down 3-1 and that was the series. I think there was a case at that time for Girardi to have done that, get creative, because you have a 7-game series. You can't do it in game 1 of the playoffs. I understand that.
You also, it's really, I think it's a difficult place to do. Just the playoffs is not the time to get cute. It's just not. It's not
getting cute. That's getting smart. Getting cute.
That is a little cute.
Getting cute is starting Devi Garcia and then bringing in J-Hap.
100%. That's cute. That's stupid. That's not cute. That's just asinine. But you throw your best against their best. That you got to do it, and you got to have confidence that the Yankees, that your offense is going to scratch runs across, and that your guy's going to shut them down. That's the mentality. And to me, if you're going in with any other mentality, then it's a loser mentality, and that's not going to serve your team. That's a loser mentality.
Was.
Well, it is a loser mentality to do that. And I think that if you're saying that, you're essentially saying we can't beat this guy. Mm-hmm. And now you're saying to your offense, well, just pack it in, boys. It's not going to matter today because this guy's on the mound. Now, when you're in the playoffs,
maybe that's a challenge to your guys.
That is the moment where you absolutely have to lean on your boys. You gotta instill confidence at the highest level in everybody, pitching, offense, everywhere. It doesn't matter who you're going up against, because you believe you can beat anybody. And I believe that is 100% the mentality you can go into. Now, when you're talking about what was done with Davy Garcia and J-Hap, that was not that. That was something very different. That was just saying, hey, we're going to try to steal a couple, and then we're going with the guy that we think should be able to do it. But we're going to go up against, we like the matchups in the first inning, which is just an asinine thing to do. So that is getting cute. You're right. And look what happened. It didn't work. So I think anything besides the fact that you give the ball to the guy that you have the most confidence in, and then you tell your boys to back him up, that's what you do.
I would have done it in 2010. I would not do it this year.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I don't think Garrett Crochet is as good as Cliff Lee was at that time.
Well, he's not.
And I think that Max Fried should be better than Andy Pettitte was at that time. As good as Pettitte was in the playoffs over his tenure. I think, do you think the series is going to come down to game 1?
Yeah. I mean, history is telling us that it is, I think that, if I were to say, if the Yankees lose game 1, I don't think I'm not feeling defeated. I feel like they have an opportunity against Bayo, because I know that they've hit Bayo in the past, and we need to see Rodon come out and pitch, 5 clean, hopefully into the 6th inning, for them to have a real chance, and then for a toss up. Because I think the difference between game 3 here and maybe in other spots is that there's no one that the Red Sox can throw in game 3 that does anything to me. Like, I think the Yankees offense after game 1 has the advantage. So if there were to be a time for someone to go down 0-1 and then win a 3-game series, I think the Yankees could do it because of their offense.
Yeah. And I
pitching doesn't match the offense. Like the card goes to the Yankees offense after Crochet every time.
I know Whitlock and Chapman have been lights out for the Red Sox, but otherwise their bullpen has been super spotty. And I agree with you 100%. After Crochet, I think the pitching even leans the Yankees after Crochet.
Yeah, and I don't know what Red Sox offense is showing up. Obviously, Roman Anthony not being there.
They've been not great.
They've been inconsistent. I mean, they've won. I think they won 2 of 3 against the Blue Jays. They won 2 of 3 against the Tigers. They won 2 of 3 in the other series they were in. I forget who they were playing, the Rays, I think. So they've been playing well as well. They've put up numbers against good pitching recently as well. So they're coming in probably feeling good. But they're inconsistent. I don't know what offense is going to show up. I think Fried could have a good day. If he's hitting his spots, I think he could have a good day. But the Yankees offense is far superior to the Red Sox offense. And I think games 2 and games 3, you will see the offense shine.
I think the Yankees should win this series. I'm not saying that this is going to be an easy series, but the Yankees should win this series. You're a better team than the Red Sox, not just on paper. In actual talent, you're a better team than the Red Sox, and you are home. So there is no excuse for losing the series. And this will be a legitimately good win if they can win, but it will be an unacceptable loss if they lose.
Well, yes, you can't lose the first round of the playoffs at home when all your games are there. Julio's making a good point too. The Red Sox are not a good defensive team either. They both are bad. There's an opportunity for the Red Sox to shit all over themselves as well. There's a very good opportunity, especially at playing at Yankee Stadium. they have a lot of young players. There's an opportunity for that to happen as well. So, put the ball in play. I think that a key for this Yankees team is to limit strikeouts. As hard as that is, I know, because this team strikes out a bunch. Limit your strikes out. Put the ball in play. If you could put the ball in play and put the pressure on the defense of the Red Sox, good things can happen. I think the Yankees need to be aggressive on the base path. If you're getting runners on, they need to be aggressive on the base path, and they have an opportunity to do that with even late in the game with some of the pinch hitting opportunities or running opportunities. If Dominguez is on this roster and he's only used and deployed as a runner because they won't trust him in the outfield and he's not going to get in that bat to start a game, then deploy him on the base path and actually make him run early in the count. Run. Let's see that happen. Let's put pressure on that defense. Put pressure on that batter.
Narvaez is not. No catchers for out runners anymore, but Narvaez is not great.
Exactly. So there's an opportunity to do that. And I think that they have to do that, especially late in the game. If it's close, they got to put pressure on. They can't be timid on the base path. They have to put pressure on. They have the base runners to do it now.
And I think just also looking at the matchups, it's cool that it's Yankees, Red Sox, and Guardians, Tigers, divisional opponents playing in the wild card. I just think that's cool. I think I'm very pumped for this series. It was going to be hard to get up for Yankees, Tigers. Obviously you get up for a playoff game, but that would have been a little wah wah.
But when I see Bregman on the other side too, there's a little bit of juice. There's a little bit more juice. Obviously, there's an opportunity because it's the Red Sox, and in the past however many years, it's just been a rivalry that's been muted a bit.
But think about this.
In the playoffs, the boombox incident, there's been opportunities.
Yeah.
The Yankees need to beat the Red Sox.
So all the way back to 2004, that's another lifetime ago. So we know what happened there. But it was a while before they met in the playoffs again. 2018, the boombox incident, forgetting the start of the game, Severino tipping pitches, Boone trying to stretch a ancient CC Sabathia through the Red Sox lineup that won 108 games that year. Just complete shit show in that series.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, 1-game wild card at Fenway Park, you have Garrett Cole on the mound, even if he was not 100% healthy, and he got hit around in that game. So the two times a Boone team has gone up against the Red Sox in the postseason, they've gotten their butt kicked.
Yeah. And that's something you just mentioned is something to keep an eye out. And we mentioned this last episode of the one before that. When you have
Do they know their 608 starts, by the way? Can we everyone plaster that everywhere?
Yeah. If you're 7 degrees or what is it, 6 degrees, if you're within 6 degrees of a text message to anybody on the Yankees or the Yankees staff, just send it right now. 608 start. Make sure that these guys are ready so that they know and they get it from as many places as humanly possible. I think that when you're looking at this too, Cora is, to me, I think he's one of the best managers in baseball. He looks for in-game opportunities. The Yankees also need to be tight in the way things are being played. Fried needs to be tight in the way that he's pitching, because if Cora sees something, that they have a staff of minions that are looking for shit as well. That is something that, it's the game within the game, obviously, but they're very good at that. They're very good at that. So that's the other piece, is that everybody needs to be tight with the way that they're giving signs, the way that Fried is coming set, all of the things that he's doing, they need to be very tight, because if there is any kind of way to exploit it, Cora will find it and his guys will find it. That's another game within the game piece here. But when I'm looking at game one here, I'm interested to hear who you think is, but give me an X factor for game one, looking at who we think that that Boone will throw out there as a lineup. I got one. I believe 100%.
Okay, so you're not looking for me to say Max Fried just needs to go out there and match.
I'm offensively. I want you to tell me somebody in the lineup not named Aaron Judge.
Okay. Well, we know Stanton has had such a monster postseason runs for the Yankees. That's an X factor to me. That was a difference maker for the Yankees last year. It wasn't just Soto and Judge last year. It's you also had to deal with Giancarlo Stanton, who just decided it's 2015 again, and I'm going to be one of the best hitters in baseball. Yeah.
Well, okay. So you're saying Stanton. I think Stanton to me is a guy that's he has never shown us that he's not that guy in the playoffs. He's a playoff guy. He's a playoff guy. I expect him to be a playoff guy. I expect Judge to be the guy that we have him.
Okay, so you're saying Bellinger?
I think Bellinger is not in game one. I think game one, we'll see.
He has good at bats against lefties.
He does have
think
good
about that
at bat.
I
trust Bellinger. I think Bellinger could be an absolute. He's got playoff experience, obviously.
Just quick aside.
I need someone else to be 2015.
The graphic of highest strikeout percentage, Judge number 1.
Yeah,
I'm
Bellinger's
pretty sure Bellinger's number 3.
That's fine. I think, and I know he hasn't been great, but if Paul Goldschmidt has good at bats as a right-handed bat,
he's going to only play one of these games. And you're saying he's the X factor?
I'm talking about game one. Yes, because game one is the biggest game of the series, is it not? You just told me the history says every single time there's been a 3-game series that the winner of game one wins the series. So I'm looking at game one. If Paul Goldschmidt is the first batter that walks up there, I need him to also say, hey, Stanton, how did you get 2015 back? Let's do that. Let's both get 2015 back.
How do you think Stanton got 20?
But as a right-handed bat in this lineup, getting on base is going to be a massive deal, because if you can get on base, now you have the guys that you just mentioned coming up to the plate, and that's going to be a huge deal. I think that first at bat's really important. I think that Goldschmidt having very good at bats and getting on base in game one is going to be an important piece.
Is the lineup going to be Goldschmidt, Judge, Bellinger, Stanton?
I think
1 through 4. Yeah,
I think
you
so.
Get the 3 righties in there, and then you can just alternate it from 5 down.
Yeah. Brian is asking if Trent Grisham. Lefty. That's where I'm looking at the right-handed bats and who I think can be a difference maker against Crochet specifically. And I think Goldschmidt can be that guy. Goldschmidt needs to be that guy.
Who was it? Didn't someone hit a 2-run homer in that last start off of Crochet at Fenway? Was that Grisham or was that someone else hit a 2-run homer?
I'm trying to remember. I know Judge hit home runs off of him late in games. That
was early in the season where he hit that solo home run. That was a cool moment.
They need another right-handed bat to see him well and to hit the ball well. And I could see Goldschmidt being that guy. Playoff opportunity.
Well, you're going to have what, 5 righties?
Might be his last.
Righties?
Yeah.
How many righties? You're going to have Goldschmidt, Judge, Stanton, Rosario, Volpe. Who am I missing as a righty?
Wells will be catching. You'll have Bellinger up there. You'll have Grisham.
Most likely Grisham in there.
Yeah.
So you're having 5 righties.
And then
Jazz. So you're having 5 righties and 4 lefties.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a good thing. Again, like that's why I think you're looking at who the X factor potentially can be. You're not expecting a ton from Goldschmidt. If Goldschmidt could put good at bats, get on base, especially in that leadoff spot, put some pressure on it. I really think that first inning is an important inning. I don't want to overblow the game being down to just the first inning at Yankee Stadium against the Red Sox, but you are stacking righties for a reason against Crochet. The stadium is going to be as loud as it ever has been, as loud as it will be in that first inning. It's going to be jumping. So
I don't know. It's a 6:08 start. People might be late.
Yeah, well, that's actually not a bad thing to look at. It's probably true. There will be
people will be late.
I bet the stands will not be fully.
They weren't. When I went to the ALCS game against Houston, I think it was a 5:30 start. It was the second inning before the stands were full.
Yeah, it is a thing for sure, especially with the way that the concourse fills up. But they need to jump on them in that first inning. So therefore, I'm looking at Goldschmidt in that first at bat. It's an important at bat.
All right. So here's the plan. We will be doing recap episodes live streamed on YouTube and then posted to audio after the wild card games. So however many wild card games they play, 1, 2 or 3. Can't play one. Can't play one.
Gotta play one.
If you win the first game by 10, they're just like, all right, we're good here. Let's just move on.
And then you just didn't even pitch Max Fried if you went with Rodon.
So we'll be doing recap episodes after all the wild card games. And then let's see where they are. Let's see what happens. Let's not say what we're doing for the ALDS.
I'm not getting too far ahead, man.
Because they haven't made the ALDS yet.
Let's just handle the businesses in front of us, okay?
Right.
Let's handle the businesses in front of us. Yankees need to go out. Yankees need to make this right with history, and they need to beat the Red Sox at home, and they need to get through a team that's not from the AL Central, so that I can hear you stop talking about that. And they should win. They need to win. They should win. They need to win. They have the talent. They should win. They should win these games. You should win these games.
They should. All right. We'll see you guys after game 1.
Let's go.